welcome to Eat Your Damn Food. I'm so excited to be speaking with Daniela this
Hello.
evening. And Daniela, please let people know like who you are and the work you're doing, and also where in the world you are, because you're coming from a different place too.
I know how funny after like COVID, everyone kind of just is able to be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm Daniela Durazo. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and what I call a body image and binge eating coach, just because it's like my niche when it comes to coaching and my
Mm,
Mind Food Peace program that's specialized in that. Um, but
awesome.
yeah, I specialize in eating disorders, disordered eating, body image. And I think what's closest to my heart is that body image and binge eating piece because I did have my own struggles that I
Mm,
worked on, and now I'm helping other women work through. And yeah, I'm in Mexico City. So
mm,
excited. I love it here.
mm.
And yeah, that's me.
So, okay, well, I want to ask you, Daniela, like, first of all, I just acknowledge you because you've walked the walk, like,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
you're helping other people and you've been in their
yeah,
shoes.
yeah,
And
yeah,
look, sometimes the binge eating, sometimes that can get missed,
yeah.
people. It really can.
I feel like it doesn't
And
hold the same urgency. So people are like, ah. And it's like, no, it's still very important for people and they
yeah.
are looking for care, and because I guess like insurance, there's more barriers for them. Uh,
Mm,
but yeah, you're right. I feel like it does go a little bit more in the back burner.
yeah. And there's something I always say is that I've never met somebody who struggles with binging that doesn't also struggle with restricting,
It's a
right?
restriction issue. Always.
Right. I feel
Yeah.
like it goes sort of hand in hand. And sometimes people will go, oh, my issue is just the overeating or the binging, but like it's all
hmm
part of like kind of a cycle people can
hmm
get into, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally the restrict binge cycle because
Hmm.
you're setting yourself up for a binge if you try to either physically restrict or mentally restrict. It's
Yeah.
just, it's gonna happen. I always say it's gonna happen maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a
Mm,
week, but you're
yeah.
just white knuckling your way to like quote unquote discipline when in reality, you're just getting yourself to feel out of control.
Mm. So, okay, so Daniela, I'm putting you on the spot, but you're ready for this. I'm curious, like, if you were going to give people who are listening, right? Because sometimes, people struggle with this and they don't always want to talk about it either,
Yeah.
right? And it
Yeah.
can go underground or there can be some shame. And so that's why I think it's so important to just name these things and
Mhm.
in ways that people struggle. But like, if you were going to give people some advice in terms of like, what was the most helpful for you to get out of that cycle,
Mhm.
like, what would you tell people in terms of like where to start?
Mm.
I
I
know that's a big
think
question.
but I mean, it's a really good one. I think because the first thought that came to mind was to trust the process in allowing yourself to let go of restricting. But then the immediate thought came up of like, that's too hard. That's really hard, right? If somebody doesn't have like the support for me to
Yeah.
be like, just trust the process, you don't know what that looks like. So usually the beginning work that I do with my clients and that helped me is to be able to visualize a realistic, happy self once you are recovered. Because I
Mm,
find that a lot of people are fearful of letting go of the restrictive part in order to work on the binge eating and actually feeling in control and talk about nutrition, all the things, right? But the first step is, I feel like, a really hard one because you are letting go of what you've held on to for so long for control, right? Or for that false sense of control. So for you to be able to allow yourself to let go of it and to feel the fear, because I'm sure there's going to be some nerves and fear coming up. But instead of envisioning the worst case scenario happening when you let go of that, actually envisioning recovery and the best case scenario, because that's literally everyone's goal. And sometimes that can be forgotten that we all want you to be in control. We all want you to feel happy and content and get rid of disordered eating and binge eating and whatever you struggle with. It's just that you have to allow yourself to
Mm,
let go of that and
mm.
trust the process.
The other thing I'm hearing you say is like people don't have to do this alone,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like
tough.
white knuckle it and like try to just get out of that cycle and give up the control and have to figure it all out by themselves. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes people are left to like, why can't I figure this out? Right? Like, why can't I do
Gosh, yes.
this? I'm a smart person because look,
Yeah.
most of the clients we work with are way bright. Like they're really bright,
Hmm.
they're really gifted. And these are never problems of intellect.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
usually this emotional component to it. So I do feel like the other message you're telling people is like, hey, there are specialists like yourself
Yeah.
who love to work specifically with this area of the binge eating and the binge restrict
Hmm.
cycle and body image.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think because if you do it alone, there's like steps to take, I feel. I don't know if you relate to that, that like we have to do it in steps and we have to do it in order instead of just like jumping into the deep end. I'm sure you'll get something out of jumping into the deep end, but if you do it in order with support, it can go a lot better and just more, you'll get more knowledge and you'll see like the progress. So definitely understanding that because I have the dietitian on my team. Her name is Julia Baker. She's amazing. Um, and we were doing one of like these podcasts and we were talking about, and she's like, I mean, if we really talk about it, like intuitive eating is way harder than any diet, calorie count, like anything that you've ever tried before, because we're actually trying for you to actually be able to make this last for your whole life and actually truly recover and trust yourself and not need any sort of diet culture thing that you can
Mhm.
again start the same cycle with. So
Yeah,
it's tough. Like it's not an easy process that you're just gonna be like, oh, no big deal.
right.
But it's so worth it in the end because you only rely on your own knowledge of eating disorders, disordered eating and nutrition and knowledge of yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think another thing, it's like it's the practice of it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes my clients will say, wait a minute, you're really asking me to listen to myself, to listen to what my body is trying to say. Like, I don't even hear what my body is trying to say. And at first, right, you don't, if you've been so in your head on dieting or just disconnecting from this thing. And so now we're asking you to know, like, to now start reconnecting and that there is a wisdom to
Yeah.
the body. Your body's not broken. It just may seem quiet, like your cues
Hmm.
may seem quiet.
Yeah. You've been ignoring it.
You've been ignoring it.
Yeah, because I also think the way that I name it is like these are all coping skills, right? But the thought of calories and food and planning, like that's also a coping. That's also a way for you to numb. And that's
Mhm.
also a way for you to ignore your body. So even if you feel like you're being intuitive, like intellectualizing things and thinking about food, like that's not it. You
Mhm.
have to really connect. Because it's funny you
Mhm.
mentioned they're like, I don't know what's going on. A lot of my clients are like, I can't do that. I'm like, no, you can. You've
Yeah,
just never tried it before.
right.
That takes a
And
lot
you
of
almost
practice.
have to keep trying it, right? You have to
Yes.
keep trying it, and it's not like it's all going to go perfect. And sometimes, for myself too, it's like, wait a minute, I'm not hearing my cues. And why am I not hearing my cues?
Yeah.
Like, have I paused long enough? Do I have other things emotional going on that are all like sitting in my belly? So I'm not sort of hearing myself as much as I maybe normally am when I'm feeling calmer. So it's like,
Mhm.
it is a practice, and the practice doesn't always go perfectly. It just doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. No, of course, it's not supposed to. You're
Mm,
supposed to learn from things that you usually, 'cause I don't want to call it mistakes, but you're supposed to learn from behaviors that you're trying to let go of, and they're going to come up because
mm.
you rely on them and you've been so used to doing them. And
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
you know,
So I know we were going to go in a different direction, but
I
I do
know.
share this, and we're gonna have Daniela come back so we can talk more about Mexican food, right? So
Yeah.
I was telling Daniela right before that I went to Mexico and I just had this amazing trip, and the food was incredible. It was so incredible, but that is a food that sometimes people are very afraid of eating.
Mhm.
And I was even saying for myself, I love this food, and I do have to be like very mindful of
Yeah.
listening to my cues because I'm finding like, right, like you have the little chips and you have the little this and a little of that, and then
Mhm.
your meal comes and you're like, where am I
Yeah.
fitting this in, right? Like, and I
You're like,
want
I
to
already
eat it.
ate.
It looks so good, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's so much, also like so much stimulation going on at the same time. Like there's a difference when you're like eating, at least me, I work from home, eating at home, everything's quiet, right? I sit down. Then if I'm like traveling or at a restaurant with my friends, we're talking, you're at the restaurant, maybe you're like in a new place. It's a lot harder to have to like actually tune in and be like, oh, wait, I'm very stimulated, very distracted, very happy. And
Mm.
it's just going to take that much more intention to check in with that and be like, wait, like we were saying, like sometimes I'll be like, so like in the moment, I'm like, woohoo, and then I'm like, wait a second, I actually want dessert. Like, where am I? Like, where's my plate? Like, what am I doing right now? Like, let me focus a little bit to be like, how do I want to end it now? Do I want to end it later? Are we getting dessert? Are we going somewhere
Mm.
after? And kind
Yeah.
of,
So I think what we're also saying is that no matter where you kind of fall on the spectrum of your
Mhm.
relationship with food and body, right? Like people listening are in all different places.
Mhm.
And but the learning never stops. Like the skills that we're talking about, you're using them, I'm using them. Like you
Yeah.
still are using them. Maybe you get more proficient at
Mhm.
using them, but again, it's like you still get to use your tools, right? That's
Yeah.
how it starts going. I don't want to say better, like there's better or worse, but it's like we still use these same things, like pausing. Like I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I was at Talavera the other night, and there was a lot of stimulation going on. Happens to be Daniela's family's restaurant that I just learned, and it was like every table was filled and it was just like parties going on and happy birthday and
Mm,
all kinds of food, and there was just a
music.
lot, it was such a fun time. But you're right, like this idea of just like checking in with myself, listening to myself, going a little slower, it's like I had to be that much more conscious.
Yeah, 100%. It's like different levels.
Hmm.
Level one is at home, quiet with your tools, you know. Level 10 might be eating out at a different country.
Yeah, right. So, and
Yeah.
it's so, and I keep talking about this idea of the practice, the practice, the
Mhm.
practice, but like it really is. It
It
is the
is.
practice. And it also like I like this concept of like the way we're eating. It is a reflection of
Mhm.
something going on in our
Yeah.
life too.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's if you want to call it like avoidance, you know, we use food, we use a lot of things to avoid, and
Mhm.
a lot of them are very normalized. Some might not be, but even if it's reading a book, even if it's going out to eat, even if it's drinking, whatever that is, smoking, everything, every behavior has a function. And once we actually are able to tune into the function, we're able to have more choice in the matter of, okay, this is avoidance. Do I want to numb out with food right now or with alcohol, whatever that is? Or do I want to have a choice and practice autonomy and not avoid and see what else I can do and face what I'm feeling?
So good. So
Mhm.
Daniela, I know we could probably
I
go
know.
for an hour. That's
5 hours
why
later.
so we will have you back again. And if people want to find you and want to work with you, because like you said, we can be anywhere in the world and people can find you and work with you. So what's the best way that people can find you?
I think the best way is my Instagram. It's bodyimage.binge.coach. You
Okay.
can just DM me there. I have a YouTube, but I forgot what it was. Or you could go to my website and contact me through there, which is danieladurazo.com.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
be
So
there.
if you're somebody who is like, hey, I really want some guidance and I don't want to keep doing this alone and I don't want to keep putting this off and feeling bad, and contact Daniela. She is there for you and we look forward to having you again. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. So good to